everyone, welcome back to Live Darts. We are here in Göttingen, Germany, and we've caught up with Mace, Chris Mason. Chris, it's been since the fishing, so we thought we'd have a chat because there's plenty to discuss, isn't there?
Yeah, lots has been going on.
Since we last spoke, just a quick one. You look in a much better place than what you did. You're smiling again, so people ask on social media, how are you doing now?
Yeah,
okay?
Good, mate. Yeah, good. Good plan of action. Obviously using the gym a lot, as everybody knows, but I mean that's just great for releasing natural endorphins in the brain. I've redone my cognitive behaviour therapy course, and everything's looking good. I'm in a good place.
Happy days. Right, last time we said MVG needed to win at least 2 of the 3 down under. He did that, and he's gone on to better things. Let's say the World Series wasn't convincing. However,
neither was the Euro Tour.
No. But the 1-3-5 in Dublin, has that changed maybe the whole destiny of the season?
Yeah, I think so. Although the vulnerabilities were on show at this event, going out to Ross Smith, the lowest seed player in this event. Obviously, Michael was 1; he was 32, and the vulnerabilities are there, and that's just seems to be part of his game for the last 18 months, 2 years. Don't get me wrong; when he gets it right and he doesn't give players opportunities, almost unbeatable. But the vulnerabilities are there; they were on display. At times during the Grand Prix, but he was convincing enough. And then, of course, Champions League of Darts. I mean, he dodged a bullet with Gerwyn Price, who just couldn't put a leg together in the decider. And then Peter Wright in the final. I mean, he had 3 darts to put him away. Didn't, and we know what Michael's like. If you let him off, he absolutely makes you pay. And yeah, he made him pay big.
Funny you should say that. That's on my notes here. Is there an issue with Peter Wright when he plays Michael van Gerwen now? Because Michael alluded to himself, his exact words were, he bottles it when he plays me. That's a fairly big statement to make.
Yeah, I can't. The thing is, he puts himself in winning positions. He has beaten him, but he's also lost to him, I think, 59 times. And we had it with Phil. It's almost like a mental block. You'll go up against him, and you tend to force it. Well, I don't think he does that, because he does give himself opportunities to win, and he has won. And he, more often than not, he runs him close. But I think there's definitely a mental side to it. I mean, the majority of the players have got a mental block against him because he's got a winning record over pretty much all of them, if not all of them.
That's a fairly big statement for Michael to make, though. In public, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's some reverse psychology going on there. I think because he's bottled it countless times in the last 18 months, literally bottled it. And I think that's almost a sign of him saying he's feeling the pressure, and what he's trying to do is trying to push the pressure across. We've seen it with Phil towards the end of his career. He started to become quite vocal and opinionated on players. He had run-ins with Daryl Gurney. He was really opinionated about him. Michael, he did it with Barney in the past, and I think that's just some fragility in the MVG game or mindset. Because he's the one that's looked like he's bottled it from time to time.
Gerwyn Price, I think it's a different story. I think once he gets that one win, he'll be fine because he's mentally stronger than Peter Wright, I believe. Yeah, I think one win, he'll be okay. I
mean, the guy's been around, in darting terms, he's been around 5 minutes, and look at the things he's doing on that stage. And he plays it with just pure aggression. That's his style. That's the way he plays. I'm fed up with all the grief he gets, to be honest. If he was, I listen to what they call him, being from Wales and everything else like that. If he was a person from a different colour or whatever else, that wouldn't be allowed. Yeah. They don't allow it in football, so why are we allowing it in darts? It needs stamping out because it's affecting him, and that's not fair. He's a sportsman, and he should be able to perform to the best of his ability. And within this current arena that he's playing in, he's not allowed to play to the best of his ability, and that's nonsense. That shouldn't be allowed in any sport, irrelevant of where you come from, what colour you are. We hear about it constantly in football. In other sports they seem to just sort of ignore it. But I'm fed up with it, and I'm sure he could get up one day and say, do you know what? I've had enough. Why should I put up with it? And he could walk, and then we lose we are. In effect, we're not getting the best version of Gerwyn Price.
And he's still pulling up trees.
And he's still pulling up trees. I mean, I couldn't play in that environment that he's having to play in. I don't believe he should. Irrelevant of what's gone on in the past. Let's judge him on what he can do in the future and what he does today and tomorrow and the day after. Not what's gone on before. That's been and done. He's paid the penalty, a hefty one at that. And he had to go through all of that turmoil as well. Let's just let him get on, and let's enjoy him for what he does on that dartboard on that stage, because he's box office.
Very topical one that's happening as we speak. Obviously this won't go out till next week. The mess at the BDO from top to bottom. I'm not just going to pick on the Masters, but the whole thing is a complete shambles at the moment.
Yeah, well, I've said it before. The reason the PDC worked, I remember Barry getting in a guy called Tim Darby, and I think he was the commercial brand manager for Aintree or something like that, or Ascot, one of the big race courses. And then he brings in Matt Porter. These guys are industry experts. Dave Allen, they're experts within their field. That's why this runs like a Rolex. I mean, it really does. I mean, everything, what it's like behind the scenes. It literally couldn't run any smoother. BDO back in the day, the TV companies were approaching the BDO going, can we have some tournaments? Can you put this on? The sponsors were approaching them. When they reached the point where that was reversed and they had to go out and get them, they failed miserably. The BDO has failed for the last 30 plus years when they had to find sponsors, when they had to find new venues or rebrand it, get up to date, get up to date. The reason the PDC works, everybody involved in it is an expert, from the TV side of it to you in the media, from everything that goes on in the press room, the players marshal, everything is run to perfection. The markers, the way the stage is done, everything is perfect. And until, listen, Des had all the great intentions. He's a darts fan, he loves the BDO. But his background has nothing to do with this industry, and anyone who took, someone said, "Oh, why don't I do it?" Listen, I can give advice. I can give my knowledge and my experience. I couldn't run a bath. There's no way I could cope with the pressure and. But you need someone who can approach new brands, who can approach new sponsorship deals, go to new venues, have meetings, and they've just never brought in anybody that can do it. And I fear for their future, especially with what's going on behind the scenes, with now independent promoters wanting to run events at Lakeside. That could be the nail in the coffin. What they should have done was took Barry's offer. And literally take on the ethos. We've discussed this before. Become the amateur side of the sport. So there's some great sports that have an amateur governing body that are funded, that work perfect, that basically give us the stars of the future to get up on that stage.
What's your take on the shambles at the Masters, with Des putting fake names in a draw, redrawing draws when people have turned up?
Again, it's people who are inept. What is going on there? The system in place for the women. I played in the Masters. Well, it's not called the Women Royal Masters anymore, is it? I played in that event, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 times. You get there the day before or the morning, you go up, you register your name, all the names that are registered go in the draw. It's not complicated. If you're not there, that's your fault. But give everybody the information, listen, there's no confidence with the consumer now with the BDO, which is why they can't sell a ticket. 80 tickets sold for 3 days of darts at one of the most famous venues in World Darts, at the Circus Tavern. I did an exhibition with Keith Deller and a few of the other lads in there. There was like 550 people in there. What's going on? And there's just no confidence in the brand, so people aren't going to buy a ticket. Is it on? Is it not on? They announced the O2, but they didn't have a deal signed. Are you going to buy a ticket? I wouldn't buy a ticket. It's like buying a ticket for a fight if you don't know it's going to happen or not. You're not going to bother. And again, it's just inept, very simple, fundamental mistakes being made by those on the top table. And I mean, my feelings go out to the players, and us lot who were in that system years ago, although it was flawed. The sport sort. I don't get this whole thing like we owe them a favour. We made people a lot of money back then. Do you know what I mean? We put bums on seats. I don't owe anybody anything. No one threw darts for me. No one. The BDO never sponsored me. They never paid me money. I earned my money. So did all the other players. All this thing, we owe the BDO. No. I'm not having any of that at all.
The other one, obviously, we can't confirm this, but we hear good sources behind the scenes, and to Con and Eddie Hearnframe, they've done their conkers. That literally, we're hearing that once the Masters is done, the bank account is empty and the prize money is not there for the Worlds. Obviously, I'm saying we can't confirm this, but that's what we believe.
Yeah, well, that's what we've been told by a reliable catch-up.
That the funding isn't there for the Worlds.
I presume that they're hoping, which again, it's just awful scenario for the players, that they're going to make enough money from ticket sales from the O2, and a big sponsor may come in. I don't believe they're completely out of money yet.
It's close though.
It's close. Yeah, I know it's close. Again, for me, Masters should have been called off. World Trophy should have been called off. All their focus, they should approach Eurosport. I know they signed this 9-tournament 3-year deal, but I'm pretty sure if they'd have just sort of got hold of Eurosport and said, listen, this is what's going on. We're gonna put all our eggs in one basket. We're gonna really go for it at the Worlds. Announced it a long time ago. Give confidence in your brand to the consumer. And you might have sold tickets. You know, ultimately it's about. And the thing is, they got this idea about, oh, we're not the PDC. We don't want to be like the PDC. Well, then that's why you're skin, right? Make this a good. This is a good time. People come out for a good time. The players can perform under that environment. You know, look at what we've seen. You know, from Nathan Aspinall, from Gerwyn Price, from Daryl Gurney, from Johnny Clayton, from Dave Chisnell, in that atmosphere. So we know they can play in that atmosphere. Make it a party for the punters. Then they'll buy a ticket. They don't want to sit there knitting like it was in the 80s. It was boring. All right, the darts were great. Things change. Move with the times. And that's why it ain't working over there. You know, they got this whole thing. Well, we're not the PDC. You know, that's a circus. Well, it's a very, very rich circus. Thank you very much. The players are playing for 15 million next year or 16 million pounds. You know, BDO players are playing for 16 quid if they're lucky.
Moving slightly diversive, the Grand Slam's coming up. We've got 2 points on this. We'll do the easy one first.
Yeah.
The BDO picks. Well, I say BDO in loose.
Matt Porter's.
I say in BDO in loose terms.
Yeah.
How much say do you think they really had?
Nah, not a lot. Not a lot. I mean, you got to remember, the PDC is a successful commercial brand. They want what's best. I think they've pretty much nailed it. The Leighton Bennett thing, as you know, I was of the, you know, put him in. I think commercial for me. I would have, from the BDO standpoint, I would have put him in because he would have got so much media attention, and it's a free advert for the Worlds because he's going to be the youngest player ever to play in the World Championships. So, but I totally understand that there's no rush with him. You've got to think about his own well-being. Is he too young? Is he okay within the BDO sphere? Yeah, absolutely, because 80-odd averages will win you things. He could end up with a group of MVG, someone else, and get absolutely spanked, and that could dent his confidence. He's already having a little bit of a crisis with his confidence at the moment, and his game's just sort of dipped off a little bit. But commercially, if I was BDO, I'd have put him in or demanded he was in. I
was led to believe he was in until a very last-minute call.
Yeah, and fair play. I think the PDC have called it right. I think. You know, they do have a duty of care. He's a young boy. Let's have it right, and he's got loads of time. I seen that interview you did with Steve Brown, and he was absolutely spot on. You know, there's no rush.
2 ladies as well.
Brilliant.
They've nailed that, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? You know, they don't get many opportunities. They're 2 of the sport's biggest names and most successful players in recent times, and they're both box office. You know, I can watch them play all day, every day. I absolutely love women's darts. I think the BDO is missing a trick. The men's game is completely sewn up. The youth game is completely sewn up. The only thing that the PDC have no real interest in terms of a tour or a professional side of the game, is ladies' darts. So why aren't the BDO focusing on that? 70% of the brands on TV are driven towards female customers. I mean, it wouldn't take a lot. Put it this way: if the PDC did a ladies' game and a ladies' tour, the sponsors would be queuing up to take it on. You know, there's so many things out there that you could do with the ladies' game, and they're missing a trick. They're focusing on things that don't matter. You know, but you know, again, it won't be long before Barry sees that there's, you know, it's like the seniors thing that's going around at the moment. You know,
there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah, I've seen some lists. I know that Jason Francis, who runs the snooker version of it, is quite interested. I think, put it this way, I think if Barney and Taylor are involved, I think the TV companies would be queuing up. 16 players, you know, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, all day Sunday. I think it'd sell out anywhere.
As well, there's a lot of players, I know we're going off it, but there's a lot of players coming to the end of their career at the moment as well. So if you started it now, in 5 years, you've got a runaway train.
Yeah, it would be massive because, you know, darts isn't particularly age-related. You know, look at Phil. He was still winning things into his late 50s and still looking absolutely awesome. And I know there's a lot of players that, you know, all right, are not playing at this level, but if we had something to play for, I'd certainly get back on the board for, you know, 4 or 5 hours a day and really, really have a go, because it gives you a great platform. It leads to so many other things, exhibitions and head-to-heads and everything else like that. I mean, I'm fortunate I'm still relevant because of TV, but you know, it'd be interesting. The lineup would be amazing. I don't think you could do 8 because you'd leave too many out, but 16, I think that would be great. Yeah, I think it would work. Friday night, 8 games. Saturday night, 8 games. Quarter-final Sunday, semi-final Sunday night, final Sunday night. Wallop.
Going back on subject, the PDC qualifying criteria for the Grand Slam, I think it's the most vocal I've heard players about it ever. Joe Cullen absolutely ripped it, and then we looked at it. There's potentially 3 big Euro Tour winners at the moment.
Not in
it. And Joe Cullen's exact words were, why are we giving runners up in a pairs competition spots in it?
I wouldn't give the winners anything in that. You know what I mean? That's just more of that's a commercial branding exercise, very much like the Premier League. You know, I don't think the players worry that, you know, too much about the World Cup, because it's, you know, it's just.
So 2 from each nation can get in. So
exactly, yes. I mean, you know, and there's some nations that could field 3 or 4 teams, 5 teams. You know, and it's done on who's at the top of the rankings at that time, not currently who's the 2 best players are. That's for sure. So yeah, it's one of them. But I don't think it carries enough credibility to warrant an invite into one of the biggest tournaments in world darts, and the Grand Slam is. I want to see winners. I want to see Joe Cullen in it. I want to see, you know,
Ian White,
Ratajski. I want to see them guys in it. They're currently the best players in world darts. I want to see the best 24 PDC players have to offer. You know, I don't mind doing top 20 and have 4 qualifying slots, but I don't think somebody who's just had a good day at the office should be rewarded with something that carries so much credibility.
Especially now it's ranked, which brings me on to my next point. Michael Smith brought this up. Don't get me wrong, I did clickbait a little bit, I'm not going to lie, but the general gist of, he hasn't got an issue with the BDO players being in, but because it's now ranked, is it relevant that they're in because it's a ranking event?
I no longer feel the BDO at the moment, with what's going on, the fact, you know, they lost Glenn Durrant, who was their
flagship bearer.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he was their main man, and look what he's done now. I mean, he's up into 30 in the world, I think, already. You know, thankfully he's in the Grand Slam. Thank goodness for that. No messing around with that one. I'm not sure that the winner carries enough credibility anymore or the players themselves. You know, they're part-time players coming up against the professional circuit, which is pretty much the cream of world darts. I think it worked years ago. If it's a case of having in there, do 16 aside, top 16 in the rankings of both to clash.
Non-ranked.
Yeah, non-ranked.
Then it's the showpiece that it was.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why Barry initially invited him in, because we used to get invited to play in the BDO's version of the World Dart Trophy. Yeah, so it's I'm no longer sure. I think because it's ranked, I think for me it can still be called the Grand Slam of darts, but just have the cream of the PDC in it. But then it's just another invitation event. I'd like to see something a little bit different. I'd like to see another tournament with set play. I like it. I love the Grand Slam. It is one of my favourite tournaments because it used to bring so much excitement. It's Scotty Waite's getting to a final, Scotty Waite's winning it.
Wolfie playing for the first time.
Anki being in it, you know, up against the PDC, all the banter that went with it. But yeah, I think there's just something lacking with it at the moment, and it needs a bit of a revamp. And I'm sure Barry and Matt look at that and they know what they're doing with it. Each of these events, the numbers they do, the viewing figures, the social media interest, all the analytics, they know what they got to do and who they got to invite. They're the best in the business at this.
Something you said in there as well, invite events, bringing me on to the next subject. Plain and simple, are there too many?
Yeah, for me, that Champions League of darts for me is just, and the last one was absolutely awful. The darts were fabulous, the players were fabulous. I think the coverage was poor. I don't think the presenter knows enough about the game to do that job. 180. Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, it's not a slight on individual. There's just nothing. There's something about it that makes me. It's just a bit meh. I don't know. I don't really like it. And people go, oh, it's because you're not involved. I don't want to be involved. It's not my bag. You know, Within ITV, I'm allowed to voice my opinion. I'm very vocal. The lads that work on there are told, oh, you don't mention this, don't say that. It's like Sky. That like our events don't exist. That's how petty they are. I'm in that commentary box. I'm up in the, presenting with Jackie, promoting the Grand Slam, promoting the World Championships. Why do they think our events don't carry any credibility? I just don't. I think it's all a little bit petty. But that Champions League of darts is just too much like the Premier League. And let's be honest, after 16 weeks of the Premier League, I've had enough of the same 8 faces.
That brings me finally on to my next topic.
You think we know what we're doing?
Yeah, the Premier League, players are now openly talking about it, so in my eyes that's given me scope enough that I can now go in. First of all, the format. I know we've toed and froed. Where do you think the format will be before we get on to players?
I think they'll stick with first to 7, possibility of a draw. I hope. I do like the Premier League, but I don't want to see the same 8 faces in it. I'm fed up with seeing the same people all of the time. I want to see blood new talent. I want to see Nathan Aspinall in it. I want to see Dobie in it. I want to see Durrant in it. I think the top 7 pit themselves. Well, I think the top 8 pit themselves. MVG, Cross, Anderson. I wrote this down. I knew what I was doing. Anderson, Michael Smith, Gerwyn Price, Daryl Gurney, Peter Wright, and James Wade. I know you think James Wade may be playing himself out of it. I'm not so sure about that. Then outside the top, they're going to stick with the top 8 in the rankings. That's pretty much it, right? Well, that is it. And then you've got Mensa-Sulovic, Ian White, Dave Chisholm, Nathan Aspinall, possibly Johnny Clayton, Simon Whitlock's playing himself back into form. Adrian Lewis, can he be ignored? A back-to-back world champion. Joe Cullen, another new face that's coming through. And then Glenn Durrant way down in the rankings. I think the players are almost forcing out. I want to see 12 players in it. It finishes too early anyway, 9:30, 20 to 10. By the time you take out all the commercial breaks and what Dave Clark does at the top of the show with Wayne or whoever, you're left with 2 hours of darts. That ain't value for money. And I just think if you had the 12 players, it would just mix it up a little bit. And it would give these chances, it would give players, someone like Ian White, the potential of having 16 weeks on stage. That career changing for him, possibly. Once he got used to that environment, because it must be a mental thing for him, because he's one of the best players I've ever seen on the floor. And let's be honest, he's won on the Euro Tour, his World Series. Them Euro Tour events are as big as these. The only thing is, I watch it on my TV. I don't know everybody else watches it.
Yeah, YouTube it on smart TV.
Exactly, I watch it on my smart TV at home. So, for me, he can do it. He knows his camera's there. But I just think if he had a long run at it, it would give him that boost. I want to see him in the Premier League. He's another player that gets a little bit too much flack for no reason. But yeah, I don't think they'll stick with it. I don't think they'll do that contender idea again. It's a bit like BDO players being in the Grand Slam. They can't get ranking points. The contenders can't win anything. A bit of bonus money if they beat the Premier League player. 6 games a night, be over by 10:30. It'd be absolutely brilliant. And it's something that I think it's something that would encourage more people, because the sales of tickets were down last year. Most definitely, and certainly at the finals, the sales of tickets were down. So I think having 12 players in it would really give it the boost it needs.
Just going back to contenders, would a contenders separate league work for you, where they're playing each other then they're playing for a position in their league with a shot at glory at the end of it? Does that work?
So sort of have 8 Premier League players and then 8 contenders?
Something along those lines.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, and after 10 weeks, the top 4 in each go in together. I don't know.
So I'm just trying to.
Yeah,
how you can,
like I say, we're constantly having this discussion about how we can make things better. And that just shows you that there's something. There's just something quite lacking in it. It's lacking a bit of excitement. It's lacking a bit of buzz. It's a little bit too predictable. And that group of players in there are all fairly wounded by MVG now, where another crop of players coming in are not so. They haven't got so much emotional baggage in their brains from being battered by him over and over again. But yeah, I'd like to see. I just want to see something different with it. I like the idea, top 8 in the rankings, four new players come into it that've never been in it before. That would suit me.
I say this because I look at it. The first half of the Premier League this year just gone. There was a story every week with the contenders, and we got chance as media to tell a story.
Well, that just shows you how we need new faces in it.
And then afterwards, I remember 3 incidents after Judgment Night, and none of them are stuff on the hockey.
No.
It was Price,
Yeah.
Gurney,
Yeah.
and Wade in their little three-way triangle, whichever way it was during that week. But it's all incidents off the hockey. I don't remember one thing.
No, but it just didn't. I mean, the final was a washout, wasn't it, with Michael and Michael?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. I think the players would respond playing against other people. I think they must be bored of playing each other all the time. You know, that Premier League's a long drawn-out thing. They got all of this, you know, with midweek pro tours happening and then going straight from there to other events. You know, the day after, they got to be there a day before. It's exhausting, and you know, I mean, you've got players like Mensah who's almost played himself out of it.
Well, that's what I think with James as well. I genuinely believe if James doesn't win something, he's in huge danger. That's not because of his ability, but the Premier League just isn't about ability, as we all know.
Yeah, it's bums on seats, and that's another thing. I think the punters would respond with having someone else to go and see. I think it would freshen it up. But there is players in danger of playing themselves out. Mensah being one, James being another.
Peter Wright, is he in danger of playing himself out?
Got a lot to defend, doesn't he?
That's right. He's not playing particularly well at the moment. And then you look at where his ranking could be after the Worlds.
Could he be outside the top 10? He could, couldn't he?
I think so.
Yeah,
Just about, I think. But we're talking about someone that does put bums on seats.
Yes, yeah.
But
listen, if they can put Barney in for whatever reasons they've put him in over the years, I don't think Peter Wright's in any danger. I think he's too much of a fan's favourite. People love to watch him play. They love his image. And when he gets it right and when he's in good form, I mean, it was only a few weeks ago he broke the world record with 123.5 average. He's one of them. Yeah, I think Wade and Mensah would be in far more danger of being left out than Peter Wright.
One person we haven't spoke about that is massively playing his way into contention is a certain Mr. Dave Chisnell.
Well, there's two for me, and we've discussed them both in the last couple of days: Gary Anderson, Dave Chisnell. Where
I say, we'll come on to Gary in a minute, but Dave, at the moment, I said to him last night, right now, is there a better player on the planet? Right now, consistently, what he's done in the last 3 months?
No, I don't think so. I mean, them new darts, he's just like a new animal with them, isn't he? And he looks well. You know, I think he's lost a little bit of weight. He looks well. And I was chatting to him yesterday. He said, I just can't put them down. You know, because he has got just such a buzz with them. There's a little bit more grip on them. They're new manufacturers now with Harrows, of course. And they've made him this dart with the grip pattern he absolutely adores. Yeah, he's buzzing. He's absolutely on fire right now. I want him to win. You know, of all the players in there, in Michael Smith, Ian White, Dave Chisholm's one of them. Every tournament, I sort of keep my fingers crossed for him and hope they can get over the line. And if anybody deserves one, it's certainly Dave Chisholm.
Talking about Gary Anderson as well, at the Champions League, there was enough signs that Gary Anderson fans
someone's been practicing.
Should be very happy. I know he says no, I haven't, but the action looked almost Rolls Royce again.
Yeah, he looks really good again. A slight change in his darts. And he did look. His action was like a Rolls Royce, wasn't it? I mean, he was within mils of getting it right and putting in a performance. If I was any of the other players, I'd be thinking, hello, someone's back.
Yeah.
And he's in a good place. I think he enjoyed being away. Being away from the sport, spent some time with his lovely young family and his boy and girl and his other kids. And yeah, it's almost like he's refreshed. It seems playing with a bit of a smile on his face, and as you know, I love the fella, and he's one of my best pals. And an informed Gary Anderson is great for this sport because he can literally one that pop up and smash the slam or win the Worlds. Fingers crossed.
He's also threatening a Euro Tour comeback.
Yeah, it's unusual. People have, obviously, I'm sure you've had the same on social media. Where's Gary? He doesn't play in the Euro Tours because he thinks it takes a little bit too much out of him. Which is fair enough. I don't blame him. The schedule now for these players, you're going to see more and more of it next year. People picking and choosing the events they attend. It'd be interesting to see what he does exhibition-wise, whether he starts to just wind that back for a year. If he winds that back for a year and has to go on the Euro Tour, then he means business in 2020. And 2020, it's almost made for him, isn't it? Also, as well, last one, player welfare at the moment. We've touched on it. Certain players aren't doing enough for themselves, are they? But I'm not going to name them because it's not fair, because obviously they're not here to defend themselves. Yeah. But there's a lot carrying timber, sweating on stage massively at the moment, where this is a professional sport where we've talked about the other ones that you can see they've physically lost weight. Gary being one of them, he knew there was an issue there. He's shifted 2 stone.
Do players need to do more for their welfare in the current climate?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, back in our day, everybody said, "Oh, you were a hypocrite." I was the one that was out till 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, where there was more reasons behind that than just greed. It was what I had going on.
Cut out because of time restraints. Yeah, just talking about player welfare and that. I'll find out where the edit is, but
yeah,
it's a job now, isn't it?
Well, it's a professional sport, and it's all about percentages. And I'm doing a bit of work. I'm not going to tell all the players I'm working with. I'm doing a bit with a few players that are fairly high profile, and I'm talking them through a diet plan that would work. You can make all your meals up. You can take meals with you. These guys are earning mega money. And it's all about percentages. Like I say, even if they got a little bit fitter, get a lot of players now saying, "Oh, I'm depressed." Your lifestyle's probably making you depressed. It's like these people on a Monday that have been out on the sesh all weekend. You're on a downer, mate. Being down in the dumps is not depression. Sometimes that's lifestyle choice. Sometimes it's what you're putting in your body. And I think if they cared a little bit more about what they put in their body and how they treat their body, even if they got 2% on the game, even if it was 0.5 in an average, that might be the difference of winning a match and losing one. And it's quite simple. It's nothing drastic. Just watch what you eat. Go and see a dietitian. Like I said, these guys are earning 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 grand a year. They should be treating their bodies, with some value, because a lot of them are going to have very short careers. Although Phil was fairly large and overweight, he was always on diets. He was always trying new things. He used to walk miles, and that's a guy that had a career that lasted 30 plus years, and that was for a reason. That was because although he was overweight, he wasn't that unfit for someone who was overweight. Look at someone like John Lowe. Never put a pound on. Looks after himself. Plays a lot of golf. He's into his 70s and still playing well.
Bob Anderson,
another one. Eats well, looks after himself, plays a lot of golf, walks a lot, still playing great darts. And I see some of these kids now that are in their 30s, I'd run them around the gym for 2 hours. I'd run them absolutely, stand them on their heads. And that shouldn't be the case. I'm in my late 40s. I shouldn't be the one that's fitter than a 25-year-old lad throwing darts at a board. Like I said, I'm doing a bit of work with a few players. I'm not going to say who, for obvious reasons. Giving them sort of gym plans and food plans. And like I said, there's a lot of places now make your meals up for you, deliver them to your door. They can afford it. I can't, unfortunately. I have to make my own. But I'll make all my meals up on a Monday. I'll weigh it all out. I know exactly what I'm having, how much protein my body needs. I bet none of them take vitamins and minerals and like B12 essential stuff that doesn't only support your body, it supports your brain. And being a little bit fitter and a bit healthier, we might not see so many players sort of having sort of mental weaknesses. It's just little, like I said, it's tiny little percentages. You add them all together, and that makes a big lump in your game, and in your lifestyle as well, and in your life. And that's concerning. The more players that are coming out saying, "Oh, I've been suffering from depression and feeling down," and is that their lifestyle? We didn't hear as much about depression years ago. I can talk about it because I'm mentally ill. Not mine's not an emotional problem. Mine, I don't produce any serotonin in my brain. But I've had to manage it. I tried to manage it through medication, and I self-medicated, as we discussed, and drugs and everything else. And then alcohol abuse. You use alcohol then to sort of as an escapism. And there's lots of things going on in not just in darts, in all sport. We're seeing more and more of it come out in lots of different sports, and it's a big worry. It is a big worry how many people now are suffering from poor mental health.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure. We've gone on for nearly 35 minutes here as always.
As always.
Mate. Absolute pleasure, mate.
Love you,
Thank you very much.
Cheers, pal.